Have you ever stopped to think about the company you keep and how it shapes your very being? The great Stoic philosopher Epictetus once illuminated a timeless truth: surround yourself only with those who elevate you, whose presence inspires you to become your very best. It's not just a quaint idea or a passing notion, it's a powerful principle that can transform your life. Perhaps you've encountered the popular saying, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. But what if we examine this through the profound lens of Stoic wisdom today? We'll dive deep into this concept and uncover the 7 types of people who can unknowingly derail your path to progress and personal growth. More importantly, we'll explore how Stoicism offers practical guidance to navigate these tricky relationships without losing your inner peace or momentum. Before we jump into this, I invite you to take a moment. If you find value here, please like this video to help spread the empowering philosophy of Stoicism far and wide. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing and turning on notifications so you never miss a chance to learn how to live better, wiser, and stronger. Let's begin by shining a light on the first archetype, the complainer. We all know them well. That friend who can find something wrong with even the sunniest day, the family member who grumbles about everything from the meal to the mood in the room, or the colleague who views every challenge as a mountain too steep to climb. It's like they've made dissatisfaction their default setting. You might be asking yourself, why should this bother me? Can't I just tune them out? On the surface, ignoring them seems like a simple solution, but the reality is far more complicated. Constant exposure to negativity acts like a slow leak, draining your emotional reservoir drop by drop. Imagine a faucet that never quite shuts off, each drip silently sapping your energy, leaving you emotionally and mentally depleted without you even realizing it. Stoicism, however, teaches us a transformative approach. Instead of getting caught up in endless complaints, focus on what can be done. What actionable solutions can be found? Dwelling on problems alone doesn't move the needle. It only weighs you down. Picture this: you're part of a team working on an important project. But there's always that one person, the eternal complainer, who turns every meeting into a barrage of grievances. They point out what's wrong, but never offer a way forward. Slowly, the group's morale starts to dip. Productivity stalls. You feel your enthusiasm draining away, not just for the project, but for your work, even your life. This is the real danger of the complainer. They don't just affect themselves. Their negativity seeps into the fabric of your own mindset. So how do we apply Stoic wisdom here? There are practical strategies to protect your mental space. First, limit your exposure to complainers whenever possible. Avoid unnecessary interactions and guard your energy fiercely. But what if avoiding them isn't an option? Maybe because they're part of your family or someone you work closely with every day. The Stoics have a clever second tactic: mental distancing. When the complaints start flowing, imagine them as a passing storm, loud, unsettling, but ultimately fleeting and powerless to harm your inner calm. By viewing negativity as temporary weather, you reduce its emotional impact and keep your focus on what really matters. Continuing smoothly from where we left off, let's explore the next powerful Stoic insights that will help you maintain your inner peace amid life's challenges. One of the most effective ways to protect yourself is to imagine your inner tranquility as an unmovable mountain, steady, strong, and impervious to the storms around it. This mountain is your calm mind, your mental fortress. When faced with someone who constantly complains, you have 3 powerful options. The third, often overlooked, is to gently guide the conversation toward solutions or steer it to a more productive topic. This shift isn't just a tactic, it's a declaration of control over your mental space. Marcus Aurelius, one of Stoicism's greatest thinkers, famously said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This profound truth teaches us to fiercely guard our mental peace. The negativity from chronic complainers should never pull us away from our path of resilience and virtue. The Stoics remind us that our power lies in our response, not in controlling external chaos. Now let's move to the second type of person who can derail your progress, the drama magnet. Imagine your life as a serene ship gliding across calm waters, only to suddenly find yourself caught in a whirlpool. This whirlpool is the drama magnet. They bring constant crises, conflicts, and controversies wherever they go. Like a whirlpool's pull, they drag others into their chaotic vortex, disrupting calm and focus. At first, you might mistake their intense energy for passion or excitement, feeling drawn in by the whirlwind. But soon enough, you realize that being caught in their orbit is like steering a ship through a relentless storm, exhausting and dangerous. The real challenge with drama magnets is their chaos often feels personal, as if their crises are your own. Their emotional turmoil is contagious. Picture this: a friend in your social circle frequently falls out with others today. They're at odds with Sarah tomorrow with Tom. This friend turns to you for advice, but the conflicts never seem to end. Before long, you find yourself caught in the middle, maybe even at odds with Sarah or Tom, simply because you tried to help. So how does Stoicism guide us through such turbulence? One practical method is reflective listening. Instead of rushing to give advice or picking sides, mirror what they say back to them. If your friend says, "I can't believe Sarah said that about me," you might respond, "So you feel betrayed by Sarah's words." This approach shows empathy and emotional support without dragging you into the stormy drama. Another strategy, which may feel counterintuitive, is becoming selectively unavailable. Stoicism teaches us to value our time and mental energy. Not every crisis deserves our immediate attention or emotional involvement. Sometimes protecting your inner peace means setting boundaries and saying no to the constant pull of drama. By understanding these types of people and how to respond, you reinforce your own resilience and keep your mind focused on what truly matters: your growth, your peace, and your virtue. Let's continue seamlessly from where we left off, diving deeper into how to protect your mental peace in the face of recurring crises and draining personalities. Sometimes protecting your well-being means being intentionally unavailable, especially when it comes to other people's ongoing crises that never seem to resolve. It might feel uncomfortable at first, but setting clear boundaries is crucial. Imagine turning off your phone during certain hours, creating dedicated blocks of time when you focus solely on your work or personal growth. During these periods, you make it clear that you are not to be disturbed. This isn't selfishness, it's an act of self-care and discipline. Seneca, another Stoic master, once said that true happiness comes from enjoying the present moment without being anxiously dependent on what the future holds. This wisdom is particularly useful when dealing with drama magnets. Instead of nervously anticipating the next crisis, they might bring focus on the here and now, where your control truly lies. Live your life fully without allowing someone else's drama to disrupt your calm. Picture yourself as a captain steering your ship with steady hands, skillfully avoiding whirlpools that threaten your journey toward growth and inner peace. Now, moving on to the third challenging type of person, the naysayer. Imagine you're an artist painting your life's canvas, each brushstroke adding vibrant colors and depth to your vision. Then the naysayer walks in. They glance at your work and immediately start questioning it. "Are you sure about that color? It doesn't look realistic." These words are like gray paint strokes that slowly dull the brightness of your creation. This isn't the helpful, constructive criticism that every artist needs. This is persistent doubt and negativity wrapped in disguise. Take, for example, someone who is excited about starting a new career path. They have done their homework, talked to professionals, even taken some introductory courses. But when they share this excitement with a naysayer, all they hear are reasons it won't work. The market is too competitive. Do you really have the skills? What if you fail? Slowly, the doubts of the naysayer begin to seep into their own mind, and the once confident vision starts to shake. So how should you handle a naysayer, especially if they are someone close to you? One surprising yet effective approach is to ask them for advice instead of simply sharing your plans. When people are placed in an advisory role, they tend to lower their defenses and offer more thoughtful, less dismissive feedback. It turns a potential conflict into a collaborative conversation. Another powerful method is a technique called positive confrontation. Instead of passively absorbing their negativity challenge, the naysayer to think differently, ask them to suggest solutions rather than just pointing out problems. This not only puts them on the spot, but also invites a more productive dialogue, encouraging growth rather than doubt. When the naysayer voices their doubts and criticisms, they might say things like, "You'll never be able to switch careers at this stage." Instead of letting such negativity sink in, try countering with a thoughtful question that shifts the conversation. For example, ask, "How do you think someone could successfully make a career change?" This not only deflects the negativity, but also steers the dialogue toward a more constructive and open-minded exchange. It encourages reflection rather than defeat. Remember the wise words of Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, who reminded us that we have two ears and one mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. Listening here doesn't mean absorbing every negative opinion or harsh judgment thrown your way. Instead, it means discerning what valuable insight might be hidden beneath the noise and ignoring the rest. When the naysayers begin to cloud your mental canvas with their shades of doubt, take a step back. Listen carefully, reflect thoughtfully, and then continue painting your life with the vibrant colors that resonate with your true vision. Don't allow anyone to turn your unique masterpiece into a dull, lifeless, gray landscape. Now let's move on to the fourth type of person, the victim. Imagine life as a complex game of chess. Each player starts with the same pieces and shares the same goal: to checkmate the opponent's king. You think strategically, make sacrifices when necessary, and take risks to advance. But the victim plays a very different game. They blame the board, the pieces, or even their opponent for every mistake they make. In their eyes, they are constantly trapped in checkmate, not because of their choices, but because some external force is working relentlessly against them. Their story is an endless saga of misfortune, with themselves cast as the helpless protagonist. Statements like, "I can't get ahead at work because my boss dislikes me," or "I can't get fit because of my bad genetics," are common refrains. It's important to acknowledge that some people face genuine hardships and systemic barriers. However, the victim we're talking about uses their situation as a permanent excuse, refusing to take responsibility for their actions or the consequences of inaction. You might find yourself drawn into their narrative, playing the role of the rescuer who constantly tries to save them. For instance, imagine a friend who spends hours recounting their endless string of failed relationships, blaming every partner, but never reflecting on their own part. This not only drains your time and energy, but can also subtly influence you to adopt a similar victim mentality in your own life. So what's the Stoic approach when dealing with a victim? It can be tempting to become their savior, offering constant advice and emotional support. But true Stoic wisdom teaches us the importance of boundaries. By enabling their mindset, we might inadvertently keep them stuck in the cycle of blame and helplessness. Instead, encourage personal responsibility and self-reflection, reminding them and yourself that while we cannot control every circumstance, we always have control over how we respond. Let's continue with the next insightful guidance, seamlessly building on the wisdom we've explored so far. While it might feel natural to jump in and offer constant support to those who see themselves as victims, Stoic philosophy advises caution. The Stoics would warn against becoming a perpetual problem solver for someone else at the expense of your own mental well-being. Instead, they recommend setting clear, firm boundaries to protect your peace of mind. This approach is known as compassionate detachment. It means showing empathy and kindness without trying to rescue someone from challenges they need to face and learn from themselves. Offer a listening ear, be present, but resist the temptation to solve their problems endlessly. Marcus Aurelius famously said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injustice." In other words, if you find yourself drawn into the victim's story, resist becoming one yourself. Take control of your own life, your own game board. Make thoughtful moves, adapt to the challenges, and remember that in the game of life, being stuck in a perpetual checkmate is often a choice, not an unavoidable fate. Keep moving forward, make strategic sacrifices when necessary, and play the game not out of revenge or self-pity, but with wisdom and the goal of growth. Next, we meet the fifth personality type, the toxic positivist. You know this person well. They constantly radiate sunshine, rainbows, and a flood of emojis, often urging you to just be happy even when life feels overwhelming. Their words can seem like an endless stream of glittering optimism, dismissing your real struggles with a wave of superficial cheerfulness. Imagine your life as a garden. There are beautiful flowers, but there are also weeds and pests that need attention. A toxic positivist insists on ignoring everything that isn't a blooming rose. Don't let negativity into your garden, they say, pushing you to focus only on the positive. While this outlook might sound uplifting on the surface, it often leaves you feeling invalidated, as if your emotions don't matter or your challenges aren't real. For instance, imagine you're going through a difficult breakup, feeling sad, confused, and trying to find balance. The toxic positivist might tell you, "There are plenty of fish in the sea, just smile and be happy." This kind of relentless positivity neglects the complexity of human feelings and the real pain that comes with life's difficulties. So how do you tend your garden without letting toxic positivists trample over it with their indiscriminate sprinkling of good vibes? Only one effective approach is to engage them in conversations that acknowledge both light and shadow. For example, if they say, "Look on the bright side, at least you have your health," you can gently respond, "Yes, that's true, and it's also okay to feel upset about what I'm going through." By balancing acknowledgement of positivity with the reality of your feelings, you create space for authentic understanding. This approach invites others to appreciate the full spectrum of human experience, rather than forcing a one-sided view. Remember, true growth and healing come from embracing both joy and struggle, not from ignoring one in favor of the other. Let's keep the momentum going and dive into the next important lesson. When dealing with a toxic positivist, it's essential to remember that you can be grateful for your health or good fortune, yet still feel upset about specific challenges you face. These feelings can coexist peacefully. You might say to yourself, "I'm grateful for my health, but it's also okay to feel sad or frustrated about this particular issue." Both emotions have their place, and recognizing this balance is key to emotional well-being. Another useful concept here is what psychologists call emotional granularity, the ability to identify and distinguish between a wide range of emotions, both positive and negative. When a toxic positivist pushes you to just be happy, take a moment to name your true feelings. For example, "I'm feeling a bit melancholic today because of X, and that's perfectly okay." This simple act of acknowledgement can be incredibly freeing, allowing you to honor your authentic emotional experience. Stoic philosophy aligns closely with this idea. Seneca once said, "True happiness is to understand our duties toward God and man to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future." Notice the balance here, recognizing responsibilities which are not always pleasant while also finding joy in the present moment. Being stoic is not about focusing only on the good or only on the bad. It's about embracing the full complexity of life with calm acceptance. So the next time a toxic positivist showers their confetti on your carefully tended emotional garden, take a step back. Remember, a garden needs both sunshine and rain to thrive. Embrace your full emotional spectrum and continue nurturing your life's garden with all its richness and depth. Now let's explore the sixth type of challenging person, the manipulator. Picture your life as a movie script. You are the main character with a clear vision of your story's arc, who your allies are, and how your final act unfolds. Then enters the manipulator, the shadowy producer, who subtly changes your script behind the scenes, often without you even noticing, until suddenly your story veers off course. Manipulators are masters of emotional and psychological tactics. They may use flattery, guilt trips, or even deceit to steer you toward choices that serve their interests, not yours. For example, you might have a friend who always convinces you to pay for dinner by saying something like, "You know, I've had a rough month and you're so successful it wouldn't mean much to you, but it would really brighten my day." Over time, you realize your generosity has been exploited. But calling them out feels awkward because they've framed their request as a favor or a heartfelt plea. Let's continue with some practical strategies to handle manipulators and maintain control of your life's narrative. Dealing with a manipulator can be challenging and delicate. One effective method experts suggest is called fogging. This technique involves acknowledging any truthful part of the manipulator's statements, but refusing to be swayed by emotional pressure or coercion. For instance, if a manipulative friend says, "You're so successful, you should cover dinner," a fogging response might be, "You're right, I've been doing well lately, but let's just split the bill as we normally do." This acknowledges their point without giving in to their attempt to manipulate your generosity. Another important approach is to set clear and firm boundaries and enforce them consistently. If the manipulator pressures you to lend money or commit to tasks that make you uncomfortable, learn to say no assertively but calmly. For example, you might say, "I can't lend you money, but I'm here if you need emotional support." This response clearly sets limits while still showing empathy, helping maintain the relationship without sacrificing your well-being. Stoic wisdom can provide valuable guidance here. Epictetus taught us that while we cannot control external circumstances, we always have the power to choose how we respond to them. Manipulators often rely on predictable reactions, your kindness, guilt, or desire for approval to steer you in their favor. By consciously choosing to respond differently, you reclaim control over your story. Remember, if you notice a manipulator lurking in your life, you hold the pen. Your story is yours to write. Although your cast of characters might include many different personalities, your journey, the protagonist's journey, should always be directed by your own values and decisions. Take back your script and don't let anyone manipulate your life's narrative. Now let's meet the seventh and final type of person who can undermine your progress, the time vampire. Imagine your daily routine as a carefully composed symphony. Each instrument represents a task, responsibility, or commitment, all playing together to create a harmonious balance. Then suddenly, the time vampire joins in, screeching off key, drowning out your melody and turning your beautiful composition into discordant noise. The time vampire isn't necessarily malicious. They might seem harmless or even friendly. It could be a colleague who constantly interrupts your work with trivial questions, turning what should be a productive day into fragmented moments. Or perhaps a friend who invites you to endless social events you're not interested in, making you feel obligated to say yes, draining your precious time and energy. Let's continue by exploring how to protect your precious time and energy from being drained by a time vampire. Though these interruptions may seem small or insignificant in the moment, their cumulative effect can seriously disrupt your flow and focus. So how can you safeguard your personal symphony from being thrown into chaos by a time vampire? One highly effective method is the Pomodoro technique, a time management strategy that breaks your work into focused intervals, traditionally 25 minutes long, each separated by short breaks. During these focused sessions, make it clear to those around you that you should not be disturbed. This boundary guards your most productive periods from being slowly eroded by constant distractions. If you encounter a social time vampire, someone who keeps inviting you to gatherings you'd rather avoid, remember that saying no is not only acceptable, it's vital for your well-being. You don't need elaborate excuses. A simple and honest response like, "Thank you for the invite, but I can't make it," is enough. Declining an invitation is not a rejection of the person, but rather an affirmation of your own priorities and needs. Seneca wisely reminded us that life, if well lived, is long enough. Stoicism teaches that time is one of our most precious resources, a canvas on which we paint the portrait of our lives. Because of this, we must be highly selective about who and what earns a stroke of our brush in this grand composition. Every note, every instrument, every melody should align with your greater purpose. Don't let the discordant noise of a time vampire throw your symphony into disarray. Hold the baton firmly and conduct your life with intention, ensuring every moment contributes to a harmonious masterpiece. As we approach the conclusion of today's journey, exploring the 7 types of people who can derail our path to Stoic resilience and wisdom, let's remember that self-awareness is paramount. It's often easier to spot these challenging characters in others, but the most valuable and enlightening challenge is to turn the gaze inward. Are you perhaps unintentionally playing one of these roles in someone else's life? Remember, Stoicism is not just about navigating the external world, it's also about deep self-understanding and personal growth. If today's discussion has sparked a realization, an epiphany, or even a bit of introspection, I'd love to hear from you. Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments section below, and let's build a meaningful dialogue that uplifts and enriches us all. Until next time, may your choices always align with your virtues, may your actions reflect your wisdom, and may your life become the masterpiece you were meant to create.